Hey guys, got a project ahead of me today. I kind of want to walk you through the intro on it. Behind me, I've got my 2007 Tahoe. Very limited storage space in the back, but occasionally I do put tools in it and go places, help people out, do small jobs here and there through the winter. And here's the problem with the back seats, the third row seats taken out. There's brackets underneath here that make these things wobble. They don't sit level, which also means the lids don't like to close correctly. I have to try to get in between here to undo latches to get this tote open, and I have to move this one to do that. And then this, if I want something out of that, I either got to crawl up in the back or I have to pull it forward and try to reach in it. So what I tried to do is throw a board in here to make those brackets that the seats normally attach to level that out. Well, then these things kind of slide around and it's not ideal. I'll kind of show you what I did there. Hold on one sec. So here you can kind of see these floor brackets that the seats glide onto and latch down. I didn't want to rip those out in case I ever do want to bring this thing back to stock to sell it. So I wanted to figure out a way to be able to get my tools in here and set flat without, having those mess it up. So here was my second option. Took a piece of plywood and I stuck it in here. And you can tell I've been using it. And it does make it flat, but it wobbles around. I tried painting it with Flex Seal because it's kind of rubbery, but it doesn't have enough grip to keep tools from sliding around and stuff, and it's just not ideal. So I'll show you my next plan. What I really wanted to do was design some sort of a drawer or tray that would roll out full extension if I could, and would hold that board and allow me to get at whatever I have in here like a drawer would, a full extension drawer. So I didn't get it recorded. My batteries went dead, but I've already welded up the frame and kind of designed it to where it would shackle around these pins that hold the seats down. Because again, I don't want to alter this thing in any way in case I want to sell it and I want to put the third row seating back in. And I couldn't find on the web anybody that would make something designed for a Tahoe. And this is an older Tahoe. It's 18 years old. So that's why I just kind of had to make it myself. But I'll kind of show you what I have as I assemble it. Well, I got some drawer slides from Vevor, whatever they're called. And they're supposed to be 300-pound rated per pair. And we'll see kind of how they install and what they hold and all that stuff. So here's what I have so far. I've got my base frame that's actually going to bolt into the back of the Tahoe. And I laid it out, kind of designed it to where these 1-inch square tubing cross pieces would sit and not have a problem with anything else that's in there. And this one should sit to where I can use a U-bolt and anchor it to those pins that the seats attach to. And I designed it as wide as I could so that I could get, as much stability as I could out of it. And then I've got my upper part, which is here, and that's going to actually attach to the other side of those drawer slides. And I'll show you how that all goes together. And then I did some test fitting before I got it all painted and everything. And then here are I think they're 40-inch Vevor drawer slides, full extension, so that they telescope. I got these on Amazon. I'll throw a link in the description for those. I think they were around $100. I ordered them a while back and I've had them sitting for a while. So I will get those bolted up here. I'll probably shoot it to a time lapse so you guys can see this without being bored to death of me lining bolts up. And if you guys have any experience with drawer glides or drawer slides, in my opinion, when you design your drawer width and your cabinet width, or in this case, a frame width, I always found it easier to make, they tell you whatever your spacing is, double it, one for each side. So these things are a 1/2 inch thick, I believe. So this way they're a 1/2 inch thick. So you want your base to be a 1/2 inch wider on each side. So a total of 1 inch wider than your drawer. I always find it easier to make your spacing maybe a little bit more than that, because those drawer glides don't like to be compressed too tight and they won't roll right. So if you make it a little bit wider than you think you're going to need it, and it ends up being too wide, you can use washers to space that apart. So it's better to do that than to weld this thing all up and then have it be too tight and have to cut it and, you know, cut your drawer width down or make your frame wider. So just a little tip, if you guys are ever going to do something like this with drawer slides, make sure you give them plenty of space to move. So real quick, just an example of what you may have to do when you're installing drawer slides. It depends on the application, but I used 2 holes in the back, or 2 bolts in the back, and then one up front. The one up front clears just fine with the hardware going back and forth. And the back one, that's a pan head 1/4-inch bolt, clears. This one, I actually had to use a flathead countersunk bolt because as this hardware comes past here, it catches a little bit if it's a flathead. So, and these things are actually pretty nice feeling. They lock fully extended. So if you get them out, they'll actually lock, so your drawer's not going to roll back into the vehicle if you're on an incline. And then when they go all the way in, they lock, and you have to actually unlock them to pull them out and back in. So kind of a nice feature there. We'll continue with the install here. We'll get the center tray section put in and see how it bolts up. All right, so we got everything bolted up. Drawer glides are in. I ended up having to use a little washer in between the drawer frame and the inside of each slider because I left a little too much gap there when I took my measurements. So unlock it, pull it out, pretty smooth, and then it locks in the outward position. So again, if your vehicle's on a slope, it doesn't roll back into the vehicle when you're trying to load and unload tools or access your stuff. Unlock it again, roll it all the way back in, it locks in place. So I'm going to get this put in and see how it mounts up inside the vehicle. Okay, let's see if my U-bolts will work for this purpose. I will tell you one thing, after lifting this thing up all assembled and putting it in here, it is all there. It's a heavy sucker, so I don't think it will break, but you never know. I have kids, they can break anything. Hopefully I have enough space to go back and forth with it. This is another one of those, it's good to have a junk drawer with extra stuff you bought over the years for different projects. These U-bolts I probably had for 20 or 25 years. See if the other side will fit. Like a glove. It's almost like it was designed to go in this vehicle. Okay, looks like we're centered according to the bolts. When I thought this thing up, I only planned on bolting the back side, because the way I look at it is when the drawer's out, it's got a lot of leverage on it, but it's not going to be lifting this end. It's going to be forcing this end down. It's only going to be trying to lift this side. So I'm going to see if I can get away with only bolting it toward the front of the vehicle. We shouldn't have any uplift problems in the back, I wouldn't think. So let's see if it rolls in and out. It does, and it locks in position. Locks inside. All right, our next step will be to put the wood on there and get it bolted down. All right, I even threw a piece of rubber on here that I had in the garage. I've had it for a little while. Got it set on there. It doesn't quite go to the back, but it will definitely keep stuff from sliding around. Drawer still operates as expected. Locks in the outward position. I'm going to throw a few tools in here and see how it handles a little bit of weight. All right, so far so good. I probably got room for another stack of whatever I needed to take that day, but see how it performs. Okay, locked in the outward position. I put this in the other way so I can get to it from the outside. I can open that all the way up, get in there as I need to. I didn't want sides on this because I wanted to be able to open my drawers. So with this particular box on here, I can still open up my drawers. And then if I need to get in the big box, I can do that because it's a full extension drawer slide. So far so good. If anything changes, I can always do an update for you guys. But I think as of right now, I'm pretty happy with it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, or if you have any other ideas. You know, I wouldn't sit on this, or I wouldn't put a ton of weight out here, but I think for my use, I think it's going to be okay. It seems like it's handling the weight pretty good. So I think it'll work for my purposes. Again, I always appreciate if you guys want to hit the subscribe button. Drop me a comment if you have any concerns, questions, criticisms, anything like that, or any other ideas, or if you guys have done anything like this in the past. But I think for my purposes and my tinkering and hauling tools around, even in the summertime, I have a mowing business, and I keep, you know, random hand tools back here and some Roundup and a few other things, and this will make it really nice to not have to crawl into the back of this thing, especially with the trailer hooked up. So I'll be able to pull this thing out and get to anything I need to get to in there. So again, drop me a comment. Appreciate the thumbs up, and subscribe if you can. Thank you.